Let me back up a sec. Because if you'd told me a year ago I'd be standing in a room full of my own neighbors, holding the fate of an entire marina in my hands, I would have laughed you off the dock. But you know what? Life has a mean sense of humor sometimes. It all started with the kind of demand letter you don't forget. The HOA told me I owed $5 million bucks. Not for breaking a rule, not for damaging anything, but because my yacht survived a storm. Yeah, that happened. And this wasn't just any boat. It was the last gift my late wife ever gave me. If you think that's nuts, well, hang on. You ever wake up in the middle of the night, not to a bad dream, but to the sound of a storm so wild it makes your bones vibrate? That night, the wind wasn't whispering, it was howling, rattling the windows so hard I thought they'd shatter. My wife Carla could sleep through an air raid, but not me. I sat in the dark, watching the marina disappear behind sheets of rain, wondering if the hopeful, my 42-foot yacht, my wife's last gift, was still holding tight at Slip B12. I'd spent the past year rebuilding her from the hull up. Still, a storm like that, you gotta respect it. Come morning, the air was scrubbed clean, but the world was chaos. Docks twisted, boats half sunk, debris everywhere. I pulled on my boots, trudged through mud, and checked on the hopeful. She was rocking gently, barely a scratch. Miracle, right? Relief flooded me. But it tasted bitter, looking at the wreckage all around. That's when Annette Whitman showed up. HOA president, sharp heels, colder heart. She marched right up to me with her clipboard, her eyes scanning the destruction, but didn't help anyone. Just a show of concern. Then, bam. We've invoked a special bylaw, she says. Because your boat survived, you owe $5 million. I laughed. I honestly thought it was a bad joke. But she was dead serious. Your modifications, your mooring system, you put strain on the whole dock, selfishly protected your asset while the community suffered. She painted me as the villain, the guy who cared more about a boat than his neighbors. That notice went up in big block letters for everyone to see. $5 million. People I'd helped for years started looking at me sideways, whispering, turning away. You know that feeling when a place you've loved turns on you? It's cold. But the thing about engineers and stubborn old sailors is we know how to dig. I pored over every bylaw, amendment, even the footnotes. The section she quoted didn't exist, she made it up. But buried deep, I found a loophole. The president could levy an emergency assessment for structural preservation, and was twisting words into weapons. For days in, it wasn't just a legal fight, it was social exile. Old friends ignored me, neighbors stopped waving, and even Carla, who's been my anchor through grief, started to worry. They're preparing to put a lien on the house, she said one night, voice barely above a whisper. We could lose everything. It wasn't just about money. It was about dignity. But she was scared. She wanted me to negotiate, maybe pay something just to make it go away. Is being right worth being homeless? She asked. That hit hard. For the first time, I wavered. That night, unable to sleep, I walked down to the docks. Old Mike, the dockmaster, was splicing rope, calm as ever. I told him what and was pulling. He just nodded. You ever look past the HOA rules? He asked. This marina used to belong to a single owner, Hemlock. When he sold, it wasn't to the HOA, but a corporation. That's the main breaker. Trace it back, you'll see who's really got the power. The next day, and went nuclear. HOA enforcement posted bogus safety inspections, locked me out of my slip. They wanted to cut me off from Hopeful, my last tie to Carla. I'd had enough. I drove 2 hours inland, dug through ancient records at the courthouse. There it was, the 1968 master deed. The marina wasn't HOA property. It belonged to a corporation, Marina Services Corporation, and the controlling share was tied to the largest original land parcels. My house sat on one. In the fine print of my own deed, I found it. A majority share, dormant for decades, now mine. And in the board? They were tenants, not owners. I didn't show my cards right away. Quietly, I told Mike and a few others. The sailmaker and had bullied Dave from the ship store who'd been fined for the wrong sign color. Folks the HOA had pushed around for years, they were in. And ramped up the pressure, warning emails, fake fines, yellow tape around my dock. She tried to isolate me, but really, she just showed everyone how desperate she was. The night before the big meeting, Carla stood with me on the deck. Are you ready? She asked. I nodded. It's time to flip the main breaker. What I didn't expect. The rumor mill. and spread the word that I was staging a hostile takeover, planning to evict everyone, raise fees, run the place like a tyrant. People bought it. I went from neighbor to outcast in a week. Even Carla packed a suitcase and left for her sisters. This isn't us, Jack. I need you to think about what matters more, the boat or your family. She wasn't wrong. I'd lost the plot. Alone, house echoing, greed spray painted on my garage door, I nearly gave up. Then came N's last blow, a court injunction banning me from my own dock. She won, right? To everyone else, it looked that way. But that night, standing on the shore, I saw Hopeful's name in the moonlight, the name Carla gave her. Hopeful. She'd never quit on a storm, and neither would I. At the community meeting, N staged her show trial. Big speech, lots of hand-wringing. Then the vote to fine me and take my house. I waited until the last second. Point of order, I said, walking to the front, documents in hand. This isn't an HOA issue. This is a landlord-tenant issue. I laid out the master deed, the corporation charter, my deed, proof that the marina wasn't theirs. It was mine. You could feel the air get sucked out of the room. And sputtered, but the evidence was bulletproof. Mike, now my head of operations, killed the lights for effect, and Dave handed out new key cards. The dam broke. The sailmaker, Sarah, spoke up. Others followed, decades of grievances pouring out. N's grip crumbled in minutes. She stormed out, not as a president, but as a tenant facing eviction. You'd think that'd be the end, but a cornered animal is dangerous. And tried lies, bribes, even sabotaging the fuel pumps one foggy night. Caught on camera, arrested by the sheriff. The next day, with the board recalled, Sarah was elected president, and the HOA's power was stripped back to what it should have been. Advisory only, no more fines, no more threats. We even refunded all bogus charges. The $5 million? Gone, erased. No parade, no revenge, just a reset. Carla came back. She'd seen the live stream. I'm proud of you, Jack. And I'm sorry I left. We stood together in the driveway. Pie from a neighbor on the doorstep, the sailmaker offering to repair Hopeful's sail for free. The community began to heal, not just from N, but from years of fear and mistrust. But I didn't want to be the new king. At the next meeting, I announced the Hemlock Marina Community Fund, a transparent, resident-run system, open books, every dollar reinvested. No more tyrants, just neighbors looking out for each other. Hopeful became more than a boat. She was a promise. So now, I'm sitting on her deck, iced tea in hand, Carla by my side. The lights of the marina shimmer, peaceful, honest. And story is over. She's facing felony charges. But our story? That's just getting started. If you think justice was served, or if you think I went too far, let's hear it. Drop your thoughts below. In a world full of stormy seas, sometimes you have to be the main breaker. And sometimes, hope is enough to change everything. You know what I mean?